Hare Krishna. Welcome to the lockdown program with Krishna under the umbrella of Govardhan Hill. Today we are reading and discussing the most beautiful Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Ben, Hare Krishna. Beautiful to see you. Oh, isn't that nice? Hare Krishna. Are you well? Are you feeling better?
I'm still in a bit of pain, but I'm feeling better than what I was, yeah.
Oh, that is great. Would you be able to sing Jaya Radha Madhava, or you want me to do it?
I don't mind, I'll try, But,
yes, please.
Oh.
I don't think we should jump straight into the Bhagavatam, as Rashmi has said. She's anyway late. Kirtan or not Kirtan, here we go. So before any Bhagavatam reading, there's always Jaya Radha Madhava, at least. So the microphone is all yours. Good. And you're sounding great.
I just hope just going to let my voice warm up a little bit.
Okay.
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Vallabha Girivarada Jaya Gopi Vallabha Girivarada Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravana Jari Yamuna Tiravana Jari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivarada Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivarada Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Givaradari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Givaradari Yasoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Givaradari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Givaradari Yasoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Nitai Go Haribo Nitai Go Haribo Nitai Go Haribo 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 Haribo
Hare Krishna, Chai, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Ben, for leading us into Jaya Radha Madhava, the song Srila Prabhupada always was chanting before any Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam or Bhagavad Gita class. Welcome, Ben, welcome, Zamir, welcome, Rashmi, welcome, Dharm, to our regular lockdown today on the 31st of March already. After having such a wonderful, successful opening program, we are here together again, and I got so much feedback. Everybody really loved it. Everybody loved the quiz, and it was, and I hope everybody loved the prasadam. Beautiful prasadam. Today I finished the last bit of the prasadam. So it lasted for such a long time. Hare Krishna. So let's immediately jump into the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Just one short note. We spoke of recent session, we spoke of engaging in the mission of the Lord. Because once we're in a mission, then the material energy has no much or no grip on us at all. So, however, we need to first understand what Krishna's mission is, what Lord Chaitanya's mission is, what Srila Prabhupada's mission is, and what is the mission of the entire Guru Parampara. Then we can assist them in the same mission. So the task is really to understand what is the mission of the Parampara and Srila Prabhupada and Krishna's and Lord Chaitanya's missions, and we can assist them in that mission, and then our life will become perfect. So we're going to the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, first canto, sixth chapter, text 38. 1:6:38 is in the chat for everyone. And I would like to invite Rashmi Mataji to start us off tonight with text 38 of the sixth chapter of the first canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Hare Krishna, Rashmi, the microphone is all yours.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 38. Aho devar sirdhanyoyam yat kirtim sarn gadan vanaha gayan madhyan idam inarya ramaye aturam jagat ramayatyatur jagat. Translation. All glories and success to Srila Narad Muni, because he glorifies the activities of the personality of Godhead, and so doing he himself takes pleasure and also enlivens all the distressed souls of the universe. Purport. Sri Narad Muni plays on his instrument to glorify the transcendental activities of the Lord and to give relief to all miserable living entities of the universe. No one is happier within the universe, and what is felt as happiness is Maya's illusion. The illusionary energy of the Lord is so strong that even the hog who lives on filthy stool feels happy. No one can be truly happy within the material world. Srila Narad Muni, in order to enlighten the miserable inhabitants, wanders everywhere. His mission is to get them back home, back to Godhead. That is the mission of all genuine devotees of the Lord, following the footsteps of that great sage.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Rashmi. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the first canto, sixth chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Conversation between Narada and Vyas. Can you summarize or highlight some important points?
So in the translation, it is said that Srila Narada is glorious and he is successful. Why he is glorious? Why he is successful? Because he is glorifying the Lord. He's singing, he's doing Kirtan wherever he travels with his instrument. And when he's doing this, he himself is happy, and he's giving relief from misery to everybody in the whoever hears his Kirtan immediately becomes de-stressed from his miserable state. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has written that unfortunately we feel we can be happy, and we keep on trying to make arrangements to get over all our whatever misery, sorrow we have in our life. We keep on trying to make adjustments, but unfortunately those adjustments will also be temporary. They will not last long, because we are only making material endeavors. So the way out is Narad Muni's way. What he is doing, he is glorifying the Lord. He's doing Kirtan everywhere, and that is his mission, to spread Harinam everywhere, wherever he goes. And all the parampara from Narad to Vyasadev, from Vyasadev to Madhavendra Puri, and so on and so forth. Everybody in this parampara is doing the same thing. The Guru parampara has done the same thing. They have followed what Narad has done, and all the other before him and after him have done.
Thank you.
That
That was a very nice.
means to just.
That was a very nice explanation. Thank you, Rashmi Mataji. What comes to mind here, Srila Prabhupada says, what is felt as happiness is Maya's illusion. Because sometimes people are arguing, people are happy in this world materially. Yes, that is Maya's illusion. That is not the real happiness. That is very, very temporary happiness. A little after that, Srila Prabhupada says, even the hog who lives on filthy stool feels happy. What comes to mind? Anyone? Samir, Ben, Rashmi.
The story about Lord Indra.
Can you, in brief, tell us the story again? Because Dharm might not know that. Just in brief.
I don't know the details. I think the gist is that somehow Narad got cursed. Not Narad. Sorry. Lord Indra, he got king of heavens. He got cursed to take the body of a pig. And he became very happy in his pig life. He had a pig wife and pig children and very, very happy there. I guess he forgot he was he remembered, I think, that he had been Indra. But yet he was very comfortable.
No, we didn't remember.
Did he not remember?
No, when we take a new body, we always forget.
Oh, so maybe he didn't remember. That's all that I can remember, that he was very comfortable and happy.
So how did he get out? Or did he get out or did he not get out?
I cannot remember more, Prabhuji.
Samir?
Narad Muni came to him.
Yes.
And said, oh, you're in the body of a hog. Come out, come back to heaven. You know, you are the king of heaven. Why don't you come back? And he's saying, no, I don't want to come back. I'm happy here. I don't want to come. I'm happy.
Yes, and on top of it, he said, you just envious, Narad. You just envious. You just after my wife.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. That is an illusion. That's what Srila Prabhupada speaks. What is felt as happiness is Maya's illusion. So that illusion can be so strong. And Srila Prabhupada explains many times, in any body, by material nature's arrangement, the living entity feels a sense of happiness. But comparatively, if we compare, that happiness of a pig, that is not really happiness. But being in a pig's body, that is perceived, eating stool and having sex with all family members, and that's what pigs do. That is perceived as happiness. That is Maya's trap. So, okay. Any questions? If not, we're moving on to the chapter 7. Do you know how to get to chapter 7, Samir? Just go next, go down, click next, and you get chapter 7, and you need to click on text 1. And that is 171. And Samir, if you can take that verse on, that would be great. The son of Drona punished. Who is the son of Drona? Who is the son of Drona? The chapter is called The Son of Drona Punished. But who is the son?
Ashwathama.
Ashwathama. Okay, Samir, the microphone is all yours.
Okay, Hare Krishna, everybody. Then announce to everyone. Sonakavacha Nirgati Narada Sutta Padarya Yena Abhipritam Tata Kim Akarod Vibhu. Translation and the purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Rishi Sonak asked, O Sutta, the great and transcendently powerful Vyasadeva heard everything from Sri Narad Muni. So, after Narad's departure, what did Vyasadeva do? But in this chapter, the clue for the as Maharaj Parikshit is miraculously saved in the womb. This was caused by Ishvataham, Acharya Drona's son, who killed the 5 sons of Draupadi while they were asleep, for which he was punished by Arjuna. Before commencing the great epic Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Sri Vasudev realized the whole truth by trance in devotion.
Okay, so may you say something?
Okay. So, Sri Sanak is asking Sutta Goswami.
Who is Shaunaka
great
again?
and transcendental.
Who is Shaunaka Rishi again? Can you remind us?
Shaunaka Rishi is the head of the great sages at the forest of Namasaranya.
Yes, it's a speaker. Every assembly must have some kind of speaker. Okay, so may you carry on?
Yes, he's asking Sutta, the great and transcendental powerful Vyasadeva, heard everything from Sri Narad Muni. So after Narad's departure, what did Vyasadeva do? I think they're asking now, what has he's taken instructions from Narad Muni. Narad Muni left. So it's now just saying, what is Vyasadeva going to do now?
That will be finding out in the coming verses. Okay, anybody has any question or comment? Let's move on. Dharm, you want to take on text 2 of the 7th chapter.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sutta Uchara Brahma Nadyam Saraswatam Shrama Pashime Gate Sampradasa Ite Prokta Rishinam Satra Varanana. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Shri Sutta said, on the western bank of the river Saraswati, which is intimately related with the Vedas, there is a cottage for meditation at Samya Prasa, which enlivens the transcendental activities of the sages. For what? By His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Shri Prabhupada. For spiritual advancement of knowledge, a suitable place and atmosphere is definitely required. The place on the western bank of the Saraswati is especially suitable for this purpose, and there is an ashram of Vasudeva at Samya Prandasa. Shri Vasudeva was a householder, yet his residential place is called an ashram. An ashram is a place where spiritual culture is always foremost. It does not matter whether the place belongs to a householder or a merchant. The whole Vaishnava Brahma system is designed that each and every status of life is called an ashram. This means the spiritual culture is the common factor for all. The brahmacharyas, Jyothastras, and the vanaprasas, and the sannyas all belong to the same mission of life, namely realization of the Supreme. Therefore, none of them are less important as far as spiritual culture is concerned. The difference is a matter of formality on the strength of renunciation. The sannyasis are held in high estimation on the strength of practical renunciation.
Thank you, Dharm. Say a few words.
Okay. Well, first of all, it mentions the actual spot where the sages, or the meeting between the sages, was most favourably to take place. So it's on the western bank of the river Saraswati. So that was a suitable place where they could.
Why is it a suitable place? What do you think?
Okay, well, it mentions it's the place is specifically for spiritual advancement. So that place was probably had less distractions. So from the mundane activities of material life. So it wasn't near a marketplace. It wasn't near any kind of. It was like in nature. It's kind of.
Yes, remote and in nature.
Yeah.
But what else could be a factor of making it such a special place? Anyone?
The river.
Yes.
The river.
Yes. Rashmi. The Saraswati River. It's a holy river.
Yeah.
Is that what you wanted to say, Rashmi? Samir?
Saraswati River is a holy river, but Saraswati is the goddess of knowledge. She's worshipped as, in schools in India. There is, prior to starting school in the morning, we used to recite prayers for Saraswati because she is knowledge. Oh, so.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Samir, is what you wanted to say?
Yes, goddess of knowledge, goddess of learning, and also that is related. It says it's intimately related to the Vedas as well. That particular spot.
It says here. Where does it say?
It says in the beginning of the translation. It says,
All right.
Which is intimately related with the Vedas, the river Saraswati.
Oh, isn't that nice? Very good. So the Saraswati River is intimately related with the Vedas. Okay, that's a translation. Very good. You spotted that. Anything else can be said to that verse? Of course, ashram, spiritual culture. Srila Prabhupada makes a point, speaks about spiritual culture. So we could speak of Quinton Rice ashram and so on, and Tanzania ashram, Birmingham ashram. These are all ashrams, places of spiritual cultures. Ben.
I wanted to make a point about Saraswati.
Yes.
And there's a really good story in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about Digvijay.
Oh, yes, please. Let's hear.
He was a great Pandit, and he used to go all around. He worshipped goddess Saraswati. And he received from her benedictions and boons, and he became very expert in recitation of the Vedas. And
what were Saraswati's benediction on him?
He could actually compose verses from his memory, from his mind.
Yes, she was actually. Whenever he spoke, she was appearing on his tongue.
Right, yes.
Samir?
Yes, I was going to say she appears on his tongue.
Yes.
And then there's a story about, I don't know if Ben is going to carry on with that.
Let's have Ben finish, and then we have you, Samir, and then we have Rashmi. Ben, carry on.
Well, the problem with this Digvijay, he was very proud of his benediction and his learning and like that. And he came upon Nimai Pandit. And anyway, there was like a transcendental kind of competition in a sense, where he had to, he said he would compose 100 verses from his mind, and he was speaking them to Lord Chaitanya, and then afterwards, Lord Chaitanya, he remembered every verse that he spoke, and he was able to point out all the flaws and all the mistakes that he had made. Therefore, because Lord Chaitanya being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this Digvijay, his pride was defeated, and he had to surrender unto Lord Chaitanya.
Yes, thank you.
So it just, again, it's like an example of the Lord's supremacy over all these demigods too. So, and there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita, about this. Is explaining that people of small intelligence, they worship the demigods.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Rashmi, what you wanted to say?
I was just going to add, Prabhuji, that this place could be very suitable also because in Dwapar Yuga, when when Krishna went to Sandipani Muni's ashram, Sandipani Muni's ashram was on the banks of Saraswati River. The Saraswati River no longer exists in India. It doesn't flow in India anymore. But the place where the Saraswati River used to flow, that's called Ujjain, which is still there. And Sandipani Muni's ashram is also very much there. So I was just thinking that is why maybe it could be a suitable place because Krishna himself has gone to study there.
Hare Krishna, certainly that would make it a suitable place. Where is the Saraswati River now? They say the Saraswati River is underground. It has disappeared, he has disappeared, overground, and it's underground now. Sometimes that happens. Okay. Ben, you can put your hand down, Rashmi. Ben, you made a point that the scholar became very proud. So that is dangerous. There is a little story here. Interesting. According to Sat Swarup Goswami in his Prabhupada Lilamrita, Srila Prabhupada said, Arsha Prayoga, establishing a no-change policy. We're speaking about books. But one day, while sitting in the garden with Tamakrishna, Swarup, Damodar, and others, Srila Prabhupada became very disturbed when he detected a mistake in one of his already printed books. Tamakrishna was reading aloud a verse from the first canto which began, Munaya Zatu Brishtoham. Srila Prabhupada had him read the synonyms. Tamakrishna read, Munaya, O sages, Sadhu, this is relevant. Prishta questioned, Sadhu? Asked Srila Prabhupada. Sasi uncovered a thoughtless mistake made by the Sanskrit editors. Srila Prabhupada had special Sanskrit editors and various duties to break down the process of printing the books. Sadhu means devotee. Not this is relevant. Srila Prabhupada became very angry and denounced the rascal Sanskrit scholars. A little learning, he said, is dangerous. Immediately they think they have become big scholars, thinking, I shall arrange. And then they write all nonsense. He continued speaking about the mistake for half an hour. So, and it goes on like that. The point is, little knowledge, one easily becomes proud, like the Digvijay of a little bit of knowledge. And then we become proud, then all doors are closing. The mercy of the spiritual master is also stopped in the flow, and it is not a very good outcome. There is a saying, pride comes before the fall. Krishna is not tolerating any pride in his devotees. So when we get a little learning or a lot of learning, whichever, we should always safeguard ourselves by staying meek and humble. And then nothing will happen to us. And the material energy has no grip on us if we stay humble, even though we have a load or whatever degree of knowledge. Okay, that was just a comment on the pride of the Digvijay. So let's move on to the next text, which is text 3 of the 7th chapter. Rashmi, that goes back. Have you had a turn, Samir? Did Samir have a turn, or we missed him out?
Yes.
Samir had a turn.
Yes.
I've not had a turn yet.
Okay, so it's going to you. Thank you.
Okay. Text 3. Tasmin sva asrami vayaso badari shunda mandite asino pa upas prishya pranidad hayo manasvayam. Translation. In that place, Srila Vyasadeva, in his own ashram, which was surrounded by berry trees, sat down to meditate after touching water for purification. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Under instructions of his spiritual master, Srila Narada Muni, Vyasadeva concentrated his mind in that transcendental place of meditation.
You want to take the next verse as well?
Okay. Bhakti yognena manasi samyak pranihiti amale upashyat purusham punam mayam cha tad apashrayam. Translation. Thus he fixed his mind perfectly, engaging it by linking it in devotional service, bhakti yoga, without any tinge of materialism. And thus he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy, which was under full control. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Perfect vision of the absolute truth is possible only by the linking process of devotional service. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. One can perfectly realize the absolute truth personality of Godhead only by the process of devotional service. And one can enter into the kingdom of God by such perfect knowledge. Imperfect realization of the absolute by the partial approach of the impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma does not permit anyone to enter into the kingdom of God. Sri Narada advised Srila Vyasadeva to become absorbed in transcendental meditation on the personality of Godhead and his activities. Srila Vyasadeva did not take notice of the effulgence of Brahma because that is not the absolute vision. The absolute vision is the personality of Godhead, as it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 19. Vayasudeva Sarvamiti. In the Upanishads, also, it is confirmed that Vyasadeva, the personality of Godhead, is covered by the golden glowing Hiranmayena Patrena veil of impersonal Brahman. And when that curtain is removed by the mercy of the Lord, the real face of the Absolute is seen. The Absolute is mentioned here as the Purusha, or person. The absolute personality of Godhead is mentioned in so many Vedic literatures, and in the Bhagavad Gita, the Purusha is confirmed as the eternal and original person. The absolute personality of Godhead is the perfect person, the Supreme Person has manifold energies, out of which the internal, external, and marginal energies are specifically important. The energy mentioned here is the external energy, as will be clear from the statements of her activities. The internal energy is there along with the Absolute Person, as the moonlight is there with the moon. The external energy is compared to darkness because it keeps the living entities in the darkness of ignorance. The word apashrayam suggests that this energy of the Lord is under full control. The internal potency or superior energy is also called Maya, but it is spiritual Maya, or energy exhibited in the absolute realm. When one is under the shelter of this internal potency, the darkness of material ignorance is at once dissipated. And even those who are atmarama, or fixed in trance, take shelter of this Maya, or internal energy. Devotional service, or bhakti yoga, is the function of the internal energy. Thus, there is no place for the inferior energy or material energy, just as there is no place for darkness in the effulgence of spiritual light. Such internal energy is even superior to the spiritual bliss attainable in the conception of impersonal Brahman. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that the impersonal Brahman effulgence is also an emanation from the absolute personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. The Parama Purusha cannot be anyone except Sri Krishna himself, as will be explained in the later shlokas.
Thank you. Well, a very extensive purpose. Say something. May I just, before you start, may I point out impersonal Brahman? That should not be confused with Brahma. Brahma is Lord Brahma. Brahman with an N. That is the impersonal energy. Okay, Ben.
Okay. Yeah, it's a long purport, and is basically explaining the difference between the different energies of the Lord. So in this and also like explaining about how devotional service, pure devotional service, is free from any tinge of material energy, and the difference between the two. And also it's like making the point about how the material energy has no control over the Supreme Lord, but in actuality is subordinate to Krishna. So it's talking about the different aspects of realization, beginning from the impersonal Brahman realization and the localized Paramatma realization. But it's also saying here that these levels of realization are not sufficient for one to enter into the kingdom of God. But we actually have to have the full realization of every aspect of Krishna, which involves Bhagavan realization as well, which is the understanding that God is actually a person in his own right, with his own character, his own personality. So that's the gist of what was said there.
Okay, great. Now, there are a few references to Bhagavad Gita right at the beginning of the purport. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. One can perfectly realize the absolute truth, personality of Godhead, only by the process of devotional service. What is that verse? Anyone of our Bhagavad Gita scholars? It's a famous verse, I believe so.
I mean, I can find that verse for you. It's 7:19. He gave a reference. So it's
7:19?
7:19, yes.
Can you read that?
Bear with me a second and I'll try and find it. 7:19. Where are you? It's Bahunam Janmanam Anante Gyanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudevaya Sarvamite Sa Mahatma Sadurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare.
Yes, that is a nice verse, and that is a very important verse. I have here another verse which seems to relate to, because Srila Prabhupada says here, one can perfectly realize the absolute truth, personality of Godhead, only by devotional service, by the process of devotional service. And one can enter into the kingdom of God by such perfect knowledge. So the verse I have in mind is Bhaktya Mama Pichanati Yavan Yaschashmi Tatvataha Tato Mam Tatvato Gyatva Vishate Tat Anantaram. That's 1855. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. That seems to fit that verse, but it's never only one reference. There are always some alternatives, of course. Okay, that's that verse, but then what is your verse ending in? You just recited that verse?
Yeah, it ends in Sa Mahatma Sadurlabha.
And that is 7:19?
7:19, yes.
Okay, so you're referring to the second instance where Srila Prabhupada mentions Bhagavad Gita, and in brackets 7:19. I referring to the first instance when Srila Prabhupada speaks, right, the first sentence, second sentence of the purport, right? Because Srila Prabhupada says this is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. So that verse which
But he makes a point in the purport. He quotes Vasudeva Sarvam Iti.
Yes, that is 7:19.
And he only mentions this part of the verse.
Yes.
So the clue is from this part of the verse. Vasudeva is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna.
Yeah.
Sarvam is everything. So is someone who knows Vasudeva is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and knows that Krishna is everything. And he says, Iti, thus.
Oh, very nice. You're learning the Sanskrit from the word-for-word translation. That is beautiful. Thank you very much. That is how we should learn the Sanskrit. That's the best way of learning Sanskrit, by looking at the synonyms.
Well, I only did that in relation to this purport. I don't normally do it, so I don't want to...
Well, we should do it. That would be good.
I don't want to become proud like the English.
If you're a humble sage, a humble devotee, eternal servitor of the Lord, and you don't have any other aspirations, then you will not become proud. Yes, it's good to look to sometimes if some particular words we go back and look in the synonyms, maybe not all the time, but sometimes that is very helpful. Okay, something more. Just down from this second mention of Bhagavad Gita 7:19, Srila Prabhupada says, Vasudev, the personality of Godhead, is covered by the golden glowing Hiranmayena Bhadrena, veil of impersonal Brahman. Does that ring a bell? I mean, it rang a bell to me. That's just, it's a famous verse. Hiranmayena Bhadrena. Anyone? Rashmi, I thought you might know that. Hiranmayena Bhadrena. Where is that from? Anyone?
Is it from Brahma Samhita?
No. Rashmi, you have studied that verse years back in Mumbai. No?
Yes, Prabhuji, yes, I know. It is the 15th verse of Ishopanishad.
It's right. It's a 15th verse. Did you look that up just now? Or
No,
did you remember?
No, I don't. I did not look it up. The reason I only remember this first word when you said Mumbai, because in Friday's class, Mataji was asking something about Ishopanishad, and the one Mataji who had was quoting this verse. I cannot remember in what context now. Why this verse was being quoted again and again. This 15th verse of Sri Ishopanishad.
Sri Ishopanishad.
Yeah.
Isa, actually not Ishopanishad. Iso, it's not a sh, it's a S. Isopanishad.
Yeah.
It's Isa Upanishad, and it becomes Isopanishad if it joins together. Yes, I had also, it rang a bell, Hiranmayena Bhadrena, long time ago, and I had a feeling Isopanishad, and I looked it up, and here it is. The whole verse goes like this. Hiranmayena Bhadrena Sadyasya Pitam Mukham Tattvam Purusham Apavrinu Satyadharmaya Trishtaye. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove said covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. That's actually a very important verse, and we have heard that before, or many times, that the devotee prays, my Lord, moves his curtain of your dazzling effulgence that I can see your personal form. That is what this verse is saying. So therefore it is quoted so many times. That's an important verse. We should keep that somewhere in memory, in mind. 15th verse of the Isopanishad, Hiranmayena Bhadrena. That brings up a beautiful story. Yesterday, do you all remember I spoke about Nigel from the garden, from the allotment? We discussed, and he was very fond of the Upanishads. And I said, I will give him the Isopanishad. I have 2 copies of the Isopanishad, maybe more, I don't think so, at least 2. So I decided I give him one. And yesterday I gave him the Isopanishad, and he was very happy. When I met him today, he said, oh, I read through it. And I asked him, do you like it? Oh, yeah, very much. And he said, the 5th verse, it's exactly the same what quantum physics is saying. So he relates the 5th verse of the Isopanishad to quantum physics, and he is completely in favor. I was kind of thinking, what if he sees Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, and whatever, he may think it's a religious text. But he didn't take it like that at all. he related it immediately to quantum physics and science. And so he will read the entire Isa-Upanishad. And once he has read the Isa-Upanishad, I think he's ready for the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Ben, your hand is up. Some of you like that story. Everything is developing. We never know. We'll just try to give Krishna consciousness to some. I purposely didn't give him the Bhagavad Gita yet because he spoke about the Upanishad. So I said, I was digging my books and I found one Upanishad. And the most important is the Isa-Upanishad, Isa-Upanishad. And he said, I will give it back. I said, no, I have it double. Oh, so it's on permanent loan. I said, yes. And he took the bait. Ben.
I just had a question that came up in my mind.
Yes.
And this is in relation to to the purport we're reading. And it's about the different levels of realization, Brahman, effulgence, and Paramatma. And then my question is, do you have to realize these earlier processes, or can a person directly realize Bhagavan? Because, my understanding is that if you realize Bhagavan, you realize everything, because everything is included. So by realizing Bhagavan, feature of the Lord, you don't really have to realize the Brahman effulgence or the impersonal aspect. You don't have to realize the localized Paramatma aspect.
Yes, that is a very nice question, and that is correct. Sometimes we think, or some people think, we have to go step by step by step. First, we have to realize Brahman effulgence, and then we have to become yogis and realize Paramatma, and then we have to become bhaktas. It's just like the yoga system. It's not we have to practice Hatha yoga and then Ashtanga yoga and then this yoga and then that yoga until we climbing the yoga ladder step by step, and you come to the topmost rung of the ladder, which is Bhakti Yoga. That would seem logical, but by the great mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, next to the yoga ladder, he has created an elevator. An elevator, you step down on the first step of the ladder, so to speak, on that level, and in no time you're up immediately on the top level without climbing all the steps in between. So, yes, your assertion is quite correct. If we, by the grace of Guru and Krishna, we take directly to devotional service, automatically Brahman and Paramatma will be known to us and will be realized, because it's just like the Russian dolls. The big doll contains all the smaller dolls in itself. So that is that special process. But some people don't believe, don't have faith in that process because it appears just too simplistic for them. You mean just by chanting the mantra and dancing a little bit around? No, they want to go through all the yogas and all the different other realizations. And like that Nigel, he wants to study the Upanishads. So now he got a proper Parampara Upanishads, the Isa-Upanishad. And then perhaps through the purports, which are Srila Prabhupada's purports, personal as anything, he might get a little bit of an idea and a taste and be ready for the elevator. I don't know. It's between Krishna and him. Let's see. Ben.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to put my hand up.
Right, okay. That seems to be a common feature of the hand-raising feature. Okay, anything else? Anyone? Anything else? Any comment? Any further questions? Let's move on to text number 5. We'll be back.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
Just this, again and again, there is stress on the. I understand about the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. That why, if we consider that our goal, then we will miss out on the personal, the relationship with Krishna. But what is the harm in somebody who sees Krishna as Paramatma? So the person who is meditating on Paramatma, he knows that he's seeing the Krishna form in his heart, like Prahlad
He not says a Krishna form in his heart. It is a Vishnu Murti.
So like Dhruv Maharaj, like Narad. Correct? Because Narad and Dhruv Maharaj both saw Narayan form in their heart. So Vishnu form in their heart. Correct? So what's the harm?
Okay.
What is the harm? I just want to know that if...
Okay. What's the harm of what?
What is the... not the harm is not the right word. So like, you know how we say that if you're going to stop at the Brahman effulgence, then you've not managed to actually see Krishna at all. That is just his outer covering, the illusion which you're seeing. Not illusion, that is like the outer covering of Krishna, like that 15th.
Krishna's energy. It's Krishna's energy. Yes. I mean,
like the 15th verse was saying, like, you know, if you remove that covering, then you will actually be able to see Krishna. Once that outer covering is gone, like that 15th verse was saying.
Of course, some people that don't want to see Krishna, they are quite happy with that effulgence, and they think that's all.
My question is not about that. My question is that why is this? So what is the harm? So Dhruv Maharaj did it. I don't know about Prahlad Maharaj. Narad Muni did it. So what is the harm in somebody who is meditating on the Narayan feature or on Vishnu feature, whatever it is? He will, of course, yes, I understand. He will not go to Krishna Loka. He will not get that personal service with Krishna, but he will go to Vaikuntha, right? If he matured and he succeeds in his service, whatever it is, then he will get Vaikuntha Loka. So is that the reason why there is stress on Bhagavan the full feature, the two-armed feature of the Lord? Because in Gaudiya Vaishnava, we are told the importance that how we can relish the relationship with Krishna, and that is possible only in Krishna Lok. So what is the reason why there is, what is the harm, what Narad did or Dhruv did?
Okay. Yes, there is stress on the Bhagavan feature. And as we have read previously in the first chapter, I think even of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it is explained that the other features of the Lord, Brahman feature and Paramatma feature, they are incomplete. They're not complete. But the Bhagavan feature, that is a complete realization. And these are steps, these are realizations of Paramatma. Generally, the yogi is meditating on the Paramatma. That is a yogic practice, meditation, yogic practice. So it is certainly a feature of the Lord. The Brahman effulsion is a feature of the Lord, and the Paramatma is a feature of the Lord, but both of them are incomplete. And Srila Prabhupada explains it in many purposes. The Brahmin feature, if someone advances a little bit further, then he comes to the Paramatma feature. There is no harm there, but one has to develop further from the Paramatma feature to the Bhagavan feature. That is a complete realization of the Absolute Truth, a complete picture, not the full picture. Paramatma is not the full picture. It's a partial representation of the Lord. So that is one answer. And of course, even if we get to Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha is a spiritual world. But the topmost planet in the spiritual world is Goloka Vrindavan, which affords the greatest degree of freedom. Vaikuntha is not the greatest degree of freedom because there's formality. Gopkumar couldn't run to Lord Narayan and says, Gopal, Gopal, and hug him around the neck. Everybody held him back because there is formality. Vaikuntha is formal. It's like Krishna in the office. But Goloka is Krishna at home. So in Goloka, Gopkumar, he can fall around Krishna's neck and call him Gopal. And so that is a complete picture. Like in the material world, if we meet an important personality, most of the time we cannot even approach an important personality. We don't have the right contacts and we don't even get close to someone like that. But once we are introduced and we're meeting the Prime Minister, the King, whatever, in the office, that is one step in the right direction, but we may never get closer to that person. But if we want to get closer to that person, at one point that relationship has developed. If we meet the Prime Minister in the office and again, and we're making friends with him, and eventually he will say, why don't you come to my house, sir? I invite you. I will introduce you to my wife and my children, and. So that is a complete picture. Does that answer your question? The question is, should we be satisfied with a Paramatma realization? The answer from Srila Prabhupada is no.
Yes, it's you've made it very clear. Thank you, Prabhuji.
It's just a progress. It's just, let's keep moving. Let's not stay on the Paramatma realization. If we come through a gradual approach from the Brahman effulgence to the Paramatma realization, then we should just keep moving and come to the Bhagavan realization complete. Like this Nigel in the garden. Let's see if we can move him to the Bhagavad Gita, which is certainly, the Upanishad will give him a pretty much good idea. It appears like the Upanishad is impersonal. And that fifth verse, which he pointed out, which describes the quantum physics, that appears like impersonal, and people are attracted to that. But if he reads Srila Prabhupada's purpose, he could not fail to realize there is something more than the impersonal feature of the Lord. And the impersonal feature, actually, it's not the full picture. So people move up, say, like they come entry level somewhere, maybe from the Brahman and the Paramatma yogic. Some are attached to meditation and yogic practice, and others are attached to impersonal speculation. So if they keep moving, they come to Krishna, to the full picture eventually. And others who are very fortunate, they're jumping directly into devotional service from being absolutely materialistic. They get somehow as Krishna's mercy and Srila Prabhupada's mercy, and they be introduced to Krishna consciousness without even ever really realizing or taking time for Brahman and Paramatma. Ben.
Another point comes to mind, this verse in Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, that when a devotee, he transcends the three modes of material nature, then he becomes situated in the Brahma Bhuta platform. Brahma Bhuta platform is the platform of realization of the impersonal aspect of the Lord. And it's said that for us to perform real devotional service, the devotee has to be on the Brahma Bhuta platform, which means he's free from the three modes, material nature. He's transcended the three modes. So it's like the first stage in liberation. So would you agree with that?
Says it again.
Well, there's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma.
Yes.
That the devotee he transcends the three modes of material nature. And on that platform, that's when real devotional service begins. So we have to become free from all tinges of any kind of material mode before we can actually engage in pure devotional service.
Yes, liberation means being free from the three modes of material nature, which is a very advanced stage. The material modes have no influence on you anymore.
But that first stage is impersonal realization, isn't it?
Brahma Bhuta is impersonal realization, that's right. And many come, or not many, some out of thousands of men and so on, a few, come to that realization, come to the liberated stage. Generally, the impersonalists, they think that's it. That's all. That is a liberated stage. And of course, mukti, if we speak of mukti, everybody in India knows mukti. Everybody in an Indian body aspires, not everybody, but loads, aspire for mukti. Ask anyone who is spiritually inclined, religiously inclined. For them, the goal is mukti, liberation. Most of them that don't actually not even know what mukti means. They don't even know mukti means free from the three modes of material nature, but that's what it is. Mukti means liberation, free from the material modes of nature. This is a Brahma Bhuta stage. But it doesn't stop there. Those who stopping on the Brahma Bhuta stage of realization and think they have achieved the goal, they are called impersonalists. Those who going further from the Brahma Bhuta stage, then devotional service actually really starts. That is a starting point of devotional service. Everything we offer to Krishna now in our conditioned state is kind of tinged with some salt, with some sand in the offering, something like that. Why? Why is there some sand in our offering? Of course, it's good we offer to Krishna. But why is there some sand in the offering? Because we offer to Krishna, but we also want something back from Krishna. That's a condition of the vast mass of people. They want something back. They give to Krishna, yes, and they're asking Krishna for something in return. That is not devotional service, and certainly not pure devotional service. So, if Krishna is offered anything with that motivation of getting something back, that is like sand in the sweet rice. It is not really palatable. But for Krishna, an offering to be palatable is someone who, in whatever sphere, makes an offering and just out of love. Out of love means nothing in return. That is pure devotional service. We offer to Krishna something, but we don't want anything in return. We are happy with the offering to him. We are satisfied. We are allowed to offer something to Krishna. That is our satisfaction. Nothing in return. So, in short, devotional service starts after the Brahma Bhuta stage. Pure devotional service. Ben, your hand is up. Still up or newly up?
Apologies again.
Okay. Dharm.
Hare Krishna. So are you allowed to there are different classes of devotees. So it's not that devotees who are less complete in knowledge are not dear to the Lord. So all devotees, I think the Lord says they're all magnanimous, because anyone who comes to the Lord for any purpose is called a great soul. So there are circumstances where devotees who want some benefit out of devotional service are still accepted. So the less advanced devotees may want to overcome some hindrance, maybe in the householder life. So if they ask the Lord out of affection, that request is still accepted, because there's an exchange of affection. So if you ask for something out of affection, Krishna will accept it. And I read that in 718, the Bhagavad Gita, 718. So although you might not be advanced, Krishna still accepts your or not.
Krishna accepts your offering even if it's not pure. Is that what you're asking?
Service. Yeah, because I'm not an advanced pure devotee, so I'm at a maybe further down the ladder. So Krishna's not going to say, well, according to 718, which when I read, my request is still accepted. So he'll still, even if I ask for some benefit out of devotional service, it's still accepted by Krishna, because it was asked out of affection. So if somebody's in difficulty, Krishna will help out of affection. It's not that you want something back. It's not a business transaction. It's because you depended on Krishna, and out of affection you went to him, nobody else. So that's the circumstance I'm talking about. It's okay to ask for Krishna for something. That's my understanding. Well, is my understanding wrong?
Okay. Certainly. We had covered that point before, and Rashmi was instrumental in that. Said is it a bad thing we going to Krishna if we have any desires? No, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. If you have any material desires, we should go to Krishna, because if we don't go to Krishna with our material desires, and we think, I can find ways to fulfill those desires without Krishna, then we are an atheist. So it is a good thing that we go into Krishna even if we have material desires, and that is, we are not born without material desires. But in the progress of our spiritual journey, in the purification, we come to a point where we're shedding our material desires, and eventually, if we come to the position of pure devotional service, and we have no more material desires. So what to do if in the meantime we have material desires? Yes, we should go to Krishna. What does it do if we come to Krishna with material desires? It is not that you can only approach Krishna if you're free of material desires. No, it's not like that. And Krishna will accept this offering. He may not be, let's say, the pure offering is, of course, so much more pleasing to the Lord. So much more pleasing. If someone is on the level of pure devotion, then Krishna is actually even controlled by that person. Krishna is obliged to that person. That is the most intimate relationship. But that doesn't mean anything prior to pure devotion with nothing in return that is has no value. No, of course it has value. And the wonderful thing is, if we have material desires and we go into Krishna and we asking him for relief of stress, for this, for that, so many things we could ask him, or even for knowledge and whatever. In Bhagavad Gita, there is said 3 four types of people approaching Krishna. So the distressed, the one in want of money, the inquisitive, and the one in quest for knowledge. So this is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. So this is all good, but that is the first contact. And the beautiful thing is, if we approach Krishna in this way, even with material desires, then these desires will get purified. Because anything in contact with Krishna gets purified more and more and more. And before we know, we're looking around. Where have my material desires gone? Oh no, they're gone. Of course, not all gone in one bang, but little by little by little, our material desires will just disappear. So the answer to your question, yes, it has value to approach Krishna. What else? If we cannot approach Krishna, if we have material desires, then what? Then we become atheists and dealing with it without Krishna? No, we put Krishna into the picture, of course. And Krishna will accept this offering, yes. And will help us and purify our heart. Does that answer your question, Dan? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's kind of what it says in the Gita 7:18.
Okay.
But it's also a question if you're not satisfied. If you're not satisfied, there's no question of advancing in devotional service. So
yes, we must be satisfied. Normally, when we start off our devotional service, or even before devotional service, we are satisfied materially. And as we progress in devotional service, we're getting a little bit spiritual satisfaction. And then we're getting a little bit more spiritual satisfaction. And then we're getting a lot of spiritual satisfaction. It's a higher taste. We have spoken many times about that. And when we're really satisfied with devotional service, then we don't need any material satisfaction anymore. Anyone else wants to say something to that? Samir, what do you say? The higher taste. We have to get the taste of devotional service. Samir?
Yeah, I think Prabhuji covered it quite well there, because if we take the example of Dhruv Maharaj, he's a very prime example of that. Dhruv Maharaj actually initially wanted a kingdom greater than his father's, so that's why he started meditating on the Lord. And of course, through that meditation, he actually realized, and then the Lord came in front of him, and of course he said the famous line, which was that he was searching for broken glass.
Yeah.
And he found the diamond. So through the process of bhakti, you actually then forget about all material desires, because it is a higher taste, as you just said. It's a much higher taste. And it also says there that just even one little drop of that higher taste cannot be the whole of any material pleasure cannot be compared to that one little drop of bhakti, if you have that pure devotional service. So
yes, thank you.
yeah.
And it needs to be said to what you just said, this is not a mechanical process that by our meditation we can force Krishna to appear or whatever. No, it's a costless mercy of the Lord. Not by Dhruva Maharaj's austerities, the Lord was forced to appear in front of him. No. But the Lord wanted to bestow his mercy. He was pleased with him. So was he with Narad. So, and we read in the connection with Narada Muni, the purpose, Srila Prabhupada said, it's not just the other day we had discussed that. It's not a mechanical process. And we said at the time, somehow or other, if we can get the mercy of Guru, then everything in our devotional life becomes so much more easy. All the doors are open. How do you get the mercy of the Guru? Then we're making a full circle when we started tonight, by engaging in the mission of the spiritual master. What is the mission of the spiritual master? That we have to find out. And then we are assisting the spiritual master, the whole Guru Parampara, Narada, everyone included. We assisting that mission, and then the mercy will flow. And if that mercy from the spiritual master is flowing, then our spiritual progress becomes so open. All the doors are open. And if we have that connection with the spiritual master, then Krishna is just next door, so to speak. Because Krishna, he will give the mercy if the pure devotee spiritual master is pleased. One cannot please Krishna more than pleasing his pure devotee. There is no better way of pleasing Krishna than pleasing his pure devotee, serving and pleasing his pure devotee. Krishna is not serving him directly, is not very impressed at all. And he doesn't want that. If we want to please Krishna, we have to learn and find out how to please the pure devotee, spiritual master, how to surrender unto him, how to assist him in his mission. Then we're pleasing Krishna. Anything else? Dam, your hand is still up. I think you forgot. Well, it is already 8:35. So we should have a little bit of a kirtan. I would like to ask Rashmi to chant the Nisingadev prayers, just to round up the evening. We started with the invocation of Jaya Radha Madhava, of making everything auspicious, like Srila Prabhupada did with every Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class. And we're rounding up with Nisingadev prayers and asking the Lord's protection for all the struggling living entities in the universe. Rashmi. Even just clapping like you did the other time. That was beautiful.
Okay, I'll just do the clapping.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Namaste Narasimhaya Praladaladaine Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha Shilatankanakhalaye Ito Nashimo Parato Nashimo Yato yato yami tato nashimo Pahir nashimo Hridaye nashimo Nashim mamadim Sharanam prapade Takara kamalavare Nakamadut shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Narsinghadev Jaya Narsinghadev Jaya Narsinghadev Jaya Narsinghadev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Gaur Hari Bol. Nrsimha Maharaj, Nrsimha Bhagwan ki jai. Prahlad Maharaj ki jai.
Oh, Brahmanandi, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Beautiful Nisingadev prayer. So, thank you.
Prabhuji, I want to share something which I learned today.
Please.
Every time I learn something in the whole class, something always stands out, which out of the entire philosophy, something just remains. So we were learning about Prithu Maharaj in Canto 4, and we've come to the section where Prithu Maharaj is giving his instructions, and it is all about karma. So now apparently we will learn how important it is to watch our actions, how intricate the laws of karma are. So in that context, we learned that how even if a ruler, let's say there is a bad ruler, like a bad president or somebody, he is levying wrong taxes on the people, then all the people in between that president or prime minister or whatever, the king, and the subjects, the citizens, the people who collect these taxes, they also become participant of that bad king's karma. So he will and if the prime minister or president is good and his citizens are good, then if the president is good and he is establishing varnashram dharma and of course everything else which goes with it, then how he will not only have his own sukriti, he will not only has his own pious results, but also when the citizens will follow him, the moral which he has set, the codes of conduct which he has set, he will get some portion of their sukriti as well. So how important this karma is. And in that context, she told us one very practical thing about accepting prasadam from here and there and everywhere. So she said, for example, I take prasad sometimes for my nurses. Okay, so it is offered in my house, meat is not cooked. So sometimes when I do that, the nurses will reciprocate and they will also sometimes make something vegetarian for me. But they are all meat eaters. So I was questioning her on that because she was talking about not accepting prasad from everywhere. You have to be very careful. She was saying that as preachers, when you go door to door in India, especially, they invite you inside. And out of courtesy, you may accept some water or some fruit, but never any grain, and definitely never if it is a meat eater and if you realize that. So you've got to be very careful. So I asked her what I should do in that circumstance. I am doing something and somebody is reciprocating out of love to me. So it would be very rude to not accept somebody's food because they have come from meat eaters. So she said that Giriraj Swami in Nectar of Devotion or Instruction, something like that, he said that every devotee has to decide for who he will take the risk. So she gave an example that you may be keeping on feeding prasad to this meat eater family and for months and months and months and months, and they're just stuck there. So you've got to be, that is dangerous situation. So she said, no, don't accept. She said very strongly, do not accept anything which they bring from. You have to be very, very, very clear, but in a very subtle way so that there is no disrespect caused. But let's say if there is somebody whom you're trying to help and just in that encouragement process, just to push him, you're guiding him towards the Siksha Guru, and you're trying to just help them, then that process maybe you could take, but again, we have to be very careful. You certainly from meat eating family, unless you're sure who has cooked that food, you cannot especially she was telling about restaurants and all that and blah blah blah. So I learned this today about this. I did not know that it was so important.
Yes, it is important. What did she say about restaurants?
Well, restaurants is
it's out of question.
It's out of question, yeah.
Don't go to a restaurant.
Even she said that when somebody invites devotees to the house to eat, she said that it is nice to know who is cooking. So in India, she's invited, and if she finds out that the cook is cooking and the person who is invited, you cannot be even bothered to cook themselves, then she says that we will not accept. That is what she's used some word. That is what you must do. You must not accept unless the person cooking, you are 100% sure is not meat eater and is a devotee. You must not accept. So she was she is very, very strict about everything. But in my circumstance, she was telling me that you have to decide whether are you going to take a risk for these people. And if the answer is no, then do not. That is what her Guru Maharaj had said in the lecture. That so I decided today that, when my nurses sometimes will bring some eggless cake or something, I will not accept in the future. I will come up with some excuse and say no.
Yes. The point is, these things are important, and particularly in India, where you're so easily invited in people's houses. Here, restaurant we can avoid, of course. But of course, we have to be also careful. We stress this point, as you just did, and what she stressed this point, on one hand, but on the other hand, we're going happily to a restaurant, or we're going happily buying food grains and bread from the store, which we don't know who baked that, rather than making our own chapatis. And so we have to see that we not becoming hypocritical either. Food is important, and grains particularly carry karma. They are very susceptible to carrying karma. Therefore, also on Ekadashi we say no grains, because Papa Purusha, all sinful reactions on Ekadashi enter into the grains. So by trying, as you just said, to become conscious of what food, cooked food, we accept from other people, we should also, along goes with it, unless we become hypocritical, along goes with it that we follow the grain fast on Ekadashi also. Not on one hand, we don't follow the grain fast on Ekadashi, on the other hand, we don't accept any food. So it doesn't make sense. But accepting particular grains, cooked grains in particular, grains which have become in contact with fire. If there is any sweets, even in India, sweets they're not cooked sweets, milk sweets. Even they find their way in devotees offering those milk sweets to, say, Giriraj or Shalagram Shilas, and so that is acceptable, but not cooked grains, particularly. So we have to be very careful. I have experienced some controversies, some problems when there was Namhata in Nottingham. After some time, some devotees who were strict and that, they would not eat the prasadam, because in Namhata, different people bringing in prasadam. They would not eat the prasadam. And I do remember there was actually a big clash, long time before Pundarika and Hare Krishna Dasi took on the responsibility for the Namhata. There was Maria and her husband. And they got offended when some devotees or devotee, I don't know, that was actually quite before my time. Maybe I was once at their house later on. So they became offended that basically it felt for them their cooking is not good enough, not pure enough or something. So yes, we have to see for ourselves. If we accept some food in some houses and we are in a preaching mission, mood, engagement, that may burn away those karmas. One has to see situation by situation. A way out is, if you want to offer me something, just give me some fruits. Fruits we can accept. but cooked grains, we may be careful. Anyone wants to say something to that? But if we want to be consequential, the first thing we have to dismiss is restaurant food. Ben?
No, I used to go to that program in Nottingham.
With Maria?
Every week.
Yes, that was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, we used to go there every week. And senior devotees used to come there. Shivaram Maharaj.
Yeah.
Bhagavad Shraya.
Yeah.
And they all had their prasad. And they were good cooks as well.
Yes, I heard that. But somehow or other, there was a clash and the whole Namhata disintegrated. And then it was re-established with Hare Krishna Das in Pundarik. So, and it was about, maybe not only about, I don't know, but the big point was a prasadam. Because they like to cook. They like to offer, but they were not up to the topmost standard. They were devotees of some sort. I don't think they were even meat eaters. I don't know. I don't think so. Yes, these things need careful consideration. Okay, let's just to finish off. One example in our preaching endeavors, when Srila Prabhupada was invited with devotees at a life member's house, and they were very accommodating, and they wanted devotees to eat, and so the devotees ate, and it was nice, it was okay, everything. Of course, they were a vegetarian family, but then devotees realized after some time, not from the start, but after some time, there appeared onions in the raita. It just happened, so they wanted to make it better, or what else? Who knows what's the motivation? So the devotees pointed out, Srila Prabhupada, but there are onions in the raita. And Srila Prabhupada, there were two occasions similar. On one occasion, Srila Prabhupada said, I don't see any onions. Of course he saw, but he ignored it because he didn't want to offend the life members. And on other occasions, he said, tolerate for now. Right? Tolerate for now. We are their guests. So it depends. Therefore, I said earlier, it depends on the preaching engagement. So it's different than they're bringing something to our house, or perhaps not different. It depends all. So Srila Prabhupada said, tolerate for now. We are their guests. So he didn't want to offend them. And onions, we tolerated it for now. That's important also. That was not, okay, now it's all free for onion for the rest of our life. No, in that particular circumstances, tolerate, maybe for a day, 2, 3 days, or whatever it was for now. And then later on back to the standard. First Ben, then Zamir.
No, I had an experience. I was with about 6 devotees, and one Hindu lady, she invited us to her house for prasad. One of the devotees, this lady, she cooked. One of the devotees who was a Brahmin, he did the offering. And anyway, we enjoyed a nice feast in this lady's house, nice prasad. And then the next, when we went home that evening, every devotee was sick, you know. We all had diarrhea. We all ended up with like really serious diarrhea, food poisoning. I don't know. just you know, it's just that because you don't know what ingredients they're using. We had to like reckon that the oil that they cooked in the food, you know, had gone rancid, and that's why we all ended up very sick.
May I, before Samir, I mean, this reminds me on a story, and it wasn't a lady's house, it was a temple. We had gone from Vrindavan by bus via Kurukshetra. we have gone to Chandigarh in Punjab for Ratha Yatra. And they served us a very delicious feast. In the temple. But these Punjabis cooked with mustard oil. I got the run on the way back. It was an experience I never had that before. We asked the bus driver to stop her, and he wouldn't stop her. And Sundar Gopal was with me. He went repeatedly to the bus driver, and this bus driver didn't stop her. And I was in the back and suffering in pain, and I thought, I cannot hold it any longer. And then eventually he stopped, and I was rushing out. There was a little stream down there, like an arrow shot from a bow. And I mean, this was absolutely painful. To you, Samir.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that sometimes you have to make a judgment call, don't you? And, the preaching side needs to take, if you are trying to preach to someone and, they're offering you something, and then you just, you have to make a judgment call on it. But I think obviously the standards should be there most of the time, but sometimes you can offend people, and if you are trying to preach to them, and then you just make a judgment call from that.
Yes, it's very individual situations. We need to make the judgment.
Try and make these people into devotees, and that takes precedent over.
Yes. Thank you. Ben, your hand is still up or up again?
No, my hand is down.
No,
Prabhuji, I have one quick question.
Okay,
so
Rashmi.
Quick one, last one. So if somebody is giving you, let's say this meat eater person, or is giving me some soup, okay?
Yeah.
So then if I offer that, then I've made it into prasad. So even then, whatever Mataji told me holds true. Like she said, absolutely no offering also. Because she was very clear. You have to decide whom you're going to take the risk for. She said you will be able to tell whether this is a person I should be taking the risk for or not. Everybody will be able to should be able to discriminate that. So so then if I take this food and I offer it, even then it is not good enough.
Well, it's a question if Krishna accepting it. You have to make that judgment as well. Huh? Will Krishna accept it? You follow? Krishna certainly accepts an offering with love from his devotees. There's no question about it. Ben.
That food has not been made with Krishna in intention. Like, to give it to Krishna. That's just me who's wanting to partake of that food. Yeah. So so that I can partake of that food, I'm offering it to Krishna.
That's not the best motivation, really. Right? That is a kind of Krishna comes secondary. Krishna, I want to enjoy this food. Can you just clean it up for me? Something like that. It's like almost like when we chant and engage in sinful activities at the same time. Huh? And it's an offense against the holy name because we having Harinam Prabhu employed as the cleaner agent for our sinful activities. Ben, first you, and Samir.
I'm just wondering because on that occasion, the Brahmin among us devotees, he did do the offering, but it turned into it was a fiasco because the next day we couldn't go out and distribute books, and about 4 o'clock in the morning, You had one devotee, he was on the toilet passage too, and the next devotee, he was in the shower, and it was like a conveyor belt. The whole house was like, oh my God. And afterwards, it was so funny, you know, it's so funny.
I don't think it was funny at the time.
Not at the time, it wasn't. No.
But I mean, look like my example, they're cooked in oil, in mustard oil or whatever, as you said, in inferior oil. Not everybody is affected like that. I was affected like that. Sundar Gopali didn't have saran. I had saran. Maybe I ate too much. Quite possible, because it was very tasty prasadam, all fried stuff. So maybe he ate much less and he had no problem. Or maybe I was more susceptible to this kind of so. But I mean, you said all.
So, Prabhuji, actually in West Bengal, Bengal and north of India, more the food is
you're breaking up
in this mustard oil, because mustard is very. You can hear me now?
Yes. No.
She's gone.
She's gone.
Rashmi, where are you?
We lost Rashmi.
Oh.
Yes, but I have to say, going back to that Ratha Yatra in Chandigarh, that was an absolutely beautiful Ratha Yatra. I've never
this
seen.
Mustard oil is actually because we use.
Rashmi, you're on and off.
Rashmi, you're talking to yourself because no one can hear you.
Yeah, I was talking to myself. It's okay. Nothing important.
So mustard oil, are you saying mustard oil is a regular?
Yes, Prabhuji, mustard oil is a regular there in their cooking, and it's very good for health.
That may be so, but when our Westerners, with our fragile Western
look for it in this country also, you get very small
and
bottles.
eating mustard oil has, and it not necessarily does us very good. For the Indian devotees, no problem. I don't think any of the Indian devotees had a problem with it. Ben.
No, it might have just been the sensitivity to that kind of oil, that kind of food.
Yes, yes.
But
okay.
Yeah, it's very distressing when you're going through something like that.
Yes. The first thing would be, of course, maybe controlling our tongues, that we don't eat too much. But I mean, little did I know that that was cooked in mustard oil, and mustard oil will cause me problems. So I'm sure I must have really tucked in too much. But again, this Ratha Yatra was absolutely memorable. I remember that today. So I have never seen that. Rashmi, you probably know that. They let off fireworks. There were beautiful fireworks in this Ratha Yatra, but are quite dangerous. They shot up some fireworks, and the sticks came down right in the middle of the crowd, and they had huge crackers. I think they would be illegal here. Huge bangers, and they just threw it right in the middle of the crowd, and suddenly you're walking there chanting Hare Krishna, bam, a huge blast, and you jumping to the side, and then they had some fireworks. That was beautiful. It was something burning, and there was a parachute out of paper and colorful paper, and it's like a candle, it's like a hot air balloon, and you let that off, and it goes up into the blue sky. And what a beautiful Ratha Yatra, and a very long, long route in Chandigarh. Hare Krishna. Rashmi? Can I confirm that you have been, is that common practice to the fireworks at Ratha Yatra in India?
I have not attended Prabhuji Rath Yatra in India.
Okay. Maybe it was a particular Chandigarh way of doing things. Quite possible. Ben,
I once asked Shivaram Maharaj, how many sweets I should eat. And he said to me, eat as much as you like. It's all prasadam.
Okay. At one, Samir is gone because it's getting later. At one level, that is probably a sound advice, but as we...
I think it was because we were all young devotees, so
Yes,
he didn't want to, because in the beginning, people, when they first eat prasad, they should eat till they wobble, till they can't eat anymore.
Yes.
Because we're
later on, we discriminate a little bit, and not by spiritual advancement and by age, of course, as well. And we don't eat set kind of quantities of prasadam and sweets as we used to when we were 30 years younger. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
But this prasadam, which Vaishana and Pandava and Rashmi made, the bread, last night I finished the last pieces of bread. It was very nice prasadam.
This samosa was excellent.
Yes.
That was my favorite one among them.
Is it? Yes, Hare Krishna. The cheesecake was also very nice. And Vaishana had some interesting...
Gulab were nice as well.
Yeah.
Everything.
Prabhuji, you
nice.
left out all the sweets. You did not give me any sweets.
What? Say it again.
I distributed the sweets.
You did not give me any sweets.
Vaishana made up the different parcels. There were sweets in every... Did you not get any gulab jamuns? You must have.
Oh, you make them up.
You're breaking up.
Then I didn't get
Trust me,
any.
you're breaking up.
I didn't make the things. The Russian Vaishana made all the... But she was very much in a... how should I say? In anxiety because it was late and she was in a rush. And I'm sure you got some sweets.
Well, I tell you, I distributed my sweets to my neighbors. So
Hare Krishna, here you go. Dharm, I have some prasadam, dry prasadam for you. It's in my fridge, laddu and some other bits and pieces. Today I got an envelope and some plastic bag, small ones, so I'm going to pack it tomorrow. It may be a little bit squished. I have a padded envelope, and I think I have your address. And I put some stamps on it. I guess so, 2 first-class stamps should do. And I put it in the post with neck beads. So prasadam will come to you shortly.
Just want to say about if you visit somebody's house, if you're a Vaishnava, we guests should really supply Vaishnavas according to their need.
Say it again.
Do you know Lord Chaitanya? Back, most of the followers at that time, they came from Bengal or Orissa. So I heard a story that when Bengalis in Bengal, they are used by habit eating cooked rice as their staple food. But when they used to go north to Mathura, they found the people there generally ate chapatis and rotis made out of wheat. And the Bengalis found that they could not actually find it difficult to digest the food because they were used to eating cooked rice all the time.
Yes.
So therefore, when these Bengali Vaishnavas visited, arriving in Naturu, some of the sadhus there, or some of the guests, some of the hosts, they would actually supply them with cooked rice. The Bengalis would cook rice.
Oh, very Krishna.
But they also, so they were supplying the Vaishnavas according to their need, and some of them asked like for yogurt to ease their digestion. So I think the point there is that you supply the Vaishnavas according to what their needs are. So they might have different dietary requirements. So in that case, the hosts supplied either cooked rice. If they couldn't do it, they would have find some way of easing their digestion by supplying them with yogurt. Sometimes it's, I don't know, I know you may offend guests by not accepting food, but they should understand that your dietary requirements. So you may, on that basis, refuse their food or say that I'd like some other alternative. So
yes.
So you're under no compulsion to actually accept food from a householder if it's not going to be good for you. You don't even accept it. They would understand that. Maybe it depends how you word it, but there's no real offence in that really. If you say that I've got a problem with this type of food, it's not digested properly, so can I have this, or is there an alternative?
Yes,
that's okay as well.
Nice. Yeah, of course, that could be, that has actually been done. When I was at Varshanas, picking up the prasadam for the devotees, I was assuming it was all same thing for all the devotees. But Varshana did exactly that principle, what you just spoke about. She said, no, it's not the same. The different devotees say he cannot eat this and he cannot eat that and this. So she made individual prasadam packages, and she cannot have too spicy, so I don't give her that. And I mean, she was exactly doing that. She was trying to accommodate everyone according to their needs. Hare Krishna. Okay, I think here we have to stop. It's getting late. So, okay. It's wonderful, Ben, to see you back in almost your old self. And I hope things are improving and the pain is disappearing. And we'll see you all back on Saturday. Yes?
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Dharm. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Ben, thank you.
Hare Bol, everyone.
On Saturday. Hare Bol.
Hare Bol.